It's time for GrizzBeat, a full-court press of highlights, insights, news, and scoops covering the Grizzlies and the NBA. Catch up each week on the latest Grizz buzz with regional and national insiders locked in on our squad. Running point from Grind City Media Studios, our host, Jarvis Greer.
Everybody, welcome back to 191 Beale Street, home of Grind City Media and GrizzBeat. I am your host, Jarvis Greer, and we have got an absolutely fantastic panel for you, as always, as we welcome the Grizzlies back home after their short two-game road trip going 1-1. Gigi joins us in the house. No, it's not that Gigi. It's a different one. We got Greg Gaston from Sports 56. You can hear him every morning from 7 to 10 a.m., right?
That's
Greg
correct.
Gaston. Enjoy. And, of course, we work together on the Memphis Tiger football broadcast, so you can switch hats a little bit. And you did a little Tiger game the other night in here, and
That's
so
right.
you know all things about everything because you have to know it in your job.
Try to be well-rounded. Thanks for having me back. It's a pleasure to be with you guys.
Yeah, it's always good to have Greg Gaston in the house, someone who knows what he's talking about. Also joining us, as always, the guru of Grind City Media himself and part-time color commentator on Grizzlies radio broadcast. You know him, you love him. It is the great Michael Wallace, as my grandson likes to say. He joins us with the HBCU night. Is that coming up here again?
That's coming. Hey, man, look at you, Jarvis.
I'm on it,
we
man.
didn't even talk about this before the show, but you set me up perfectly, man. Yes, HBCU night. First of all, it's a big Grizz game night tonight. at
Yes,
FedEx Forum. But on November 17th, HBCU night here at FedEx Forum against the Denver Nuggets. So make sure you come out and check it out. That right there, we got a whole bunch of different activations and things going on. It's going to be a great show, HBCU night. And I can't wait for it, man. But we got plenty of business to take care of before then.
We sure do. I got some trinkets from HBCU night, the last one. I'll break those out when we get to it. But yeah, the Grizzlies back in town. Of course, going one-on-one on the road trip. The Lakers, or the Fakers, as we like to say, they're in town tonight. The Faker fans. We'll see how many show up. But Los Angeles is in town tonight. The Grizzlies, though, coming off that road trip, 500, 1-1. Won the first game on the road at Philadelphia. Looked really, really sharp. I think it was 124-106. Everybody contributing. And then the last game, a tough loss to the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, this version, they're not tanking yet. They still have some really good players. That game goes 106-104. And what we saw in that game is Zach Edey have a great game. Ja Morant doing incredible Ja Morant things. And everybody played well in that game except Memphis couldn't hit the three. They were 8 for 30 from three as opposed to 13 of 36 from Brooklyn. It was a tough one to take when you played pretty well in that game.
Look, you hate to lose, but boy, seeing Zach Edey do what he did and thinking about how big a factor he could be for the future, you smile at that. But so far, early going, 8 games, 4-4, is just they've been inconsistent. Obviously, they've had injuries, right? You try not to use them as an excuse, but we see them play great one game, not so good the other. It's tough when you think about the Nets. You lose the season series. They sweep you. That's a team you think certainly at full strength you're better than. So hopefully we can find a little bit more consistency, and I think we will as the walking wounded get healthier.
Speaking of walking wounded, I think that's a really good point you made because, without Marcus Smart, and, of course, without Vince Williams, VW, you don't have somebody to jump on Dennis Schroeder, who has been a thorn in the Grizzlies' side, and he was again in that game, hit the game-winning bucket, as a matter of fact, with under a minute to play. But you've got to see the team in person on the road, Michael Wallace, in your duties as color commentator on the radio with Eric Hasseltine. And, going into Philadelphia, of course, they didn't have Joel Embiid, but the Grizzlies have had some success playing and have played well in Philly, whether it's been a win or a loss. They looked really good in that game.
Yeah, I mean, it all came together. You talked about the pace, the tempo. It was a sluggish first quarter, but when you look at what the Grizzlies did late in that first quarter and into the second, they finally got to transition. They got the three-pass fast break with Ja diving on the floor for the loose ball, kicking
off
it over.
His behind.
Yes,
again.
off his behind, and just the tic-tac-toe passing that led to Jay Huff's dunk.
Huff stuff.
Huff stuff, man. That was one of the greatest plays that we've seen this season from a team standpoint. The Grizzlies have been up and down, to your point, though, Greg. That's the thing. Through 8 games, there's been this turbulence. You know what I mean? They're either really, really good or just, really, really not connected or disconnected. And trying to find that connectivity and sustainable effort is going to be the challenge right now. But to Jarvis's point, when you're having different guys out of the lineup who are your defensive core, like Vince Williams and Marcus Smart are 2 of your better perimeter defenders, your 2 best perimeter defenders. And that's where the problems have surfaced is perimeter defense, teams getting into the paint. But overall, I think the Grizzlies they still have their best basketball ahead of them, and that's a good thing.
You know, we saw them play. There's really been only 2 games this year, in my opinion, that were really bad. That was the Chicago game here in the middle of the homestand and the Brooklyn game when Brooklyn was coming off a back-to-back, and they just looked listless in the game. But every other game, including the loss at Brooklyn, the shots just didn't drop in that last game. They got the looks. The shots just did not drop.
They did. And those 2 games you talk about,
right?
Those were back-to-back home games too.
That's
Chicago
correct.
And then Brooklyn here. I would also add the Houston game in there because the Grizzlies played so well and were up almost 20 in that
in the
game,
first
and
half.
it just unraveled, right? So, you know, that was one of the other games where you felt like, man, once they got hit, they never responded. Houston just kept coming. But yeah, so what's that? 4-4. We just talked about 3 games. I would say 2 of those games should have been more winnable, and then you're looking at 6 and 2.
Well, the second game, remember, for the second Brooklyn game, Brooklyn was coming off a back-to-back, even though they were home, and the Grizzlies had a day of rest from that Sixers game to Brooklyn. So they were playing back. So they were playing back-to-back as well.
And it's really something when you look at it, but the Grizzlies have been able to, even with all the people out of the lineup so far, really hit some great numbers as far as the way they're moving the ball around. I think we got a graphic we can show you right now. Just take a look at some of the things that the Grizzlies have done. I think they're first in the league or second in the NBA in assists at 30.5. That's a hefty number when you're passing the ball around that much. Of course, the new offense has a little bit to do with that, and also the turnovers that they were having early would have something to do with that. But they are hitting the open people, and the Grizzlies ranked 4th NBA in field goal percentage at 48.6, another healthy mark. 7th in the NBA in rebounding. This is something, if you look back to last year, they couldn't rebound at all, but they are definitely getting done. And also, they are 8th in the NBA in scoring at 117.1 points per game. Now, that's a really good number for the Grizzlies. If you're going all the way back to the grit and grind era, if they got anywhere close to 100, that was a big number for Memphis.
Jarvo, I think all those numbers are very impressive. You mentioned implementing this new offense. You're implementing a new offense. You're scoring the way you're scoring. You don't have all your shooters. Dez is out. Kennard has not played yet. We'll talk about him in a few moments. But you're still scoring. And then Scottie Pippen, to be able to add what he has added to John Morant's ability to dish and find the open man, that's why you have those type of assist numbers. So I've been extremely impressed with guys that are out implementing a new offense and putting up those kind of numbers.
Yeah, and more numbers. I mean, I think they lead the NBA in points in the paint. Taylor Jenkins, the Grizzlies head coach, had these comments about why the Grizzlies are doing what they're doing right now.
Having contributions up and down the roster, whether it's double-doubles or not, just guys just filling the stat sheet in the winning plays. It's not about scoring. It's about the rebounds, the steals, block shots, the assists. That's the stuff that I'm focused on. And
Yeah, steals, block shots, assists, all of that. And like I said, I just mentioned briefly about the points in the paint. With John Morant back now, and of course Zach Edey, the Grizzlies are definitely getting back to that style, Michael Wallace, that we have seen them lead the league or being in the top 3 in the lead in points in the paint over the last several years.
Yeah, and that's the telltale factor, right? They dominated points in the paint against Brooklyn too, and they just couldn't stop Brooklyn when Brooklyn got hot. When you know that the Grizzlies are playing well, you look at the assists, right? That means they're moving the ball. You're looking at fast break opportunities, and you're looking at the turnovers that they force other teams to make. When they lose, they're on the other end of the turnover margin because, again, Brooklyn, the first time they beat Memphis, scored 31 points off Memphis turnovers. So protecting the basketball, and Taylor Jenkins talks about this too, when you're playing at a faster pace, you got to live with some turnovers because you're just getting into that pace. But as soon as that calms down a little bit, I think this team can take another step, and that's going to be important.
I think one thing about that, in terms of the turnovers, that they had 31 points to the Nets here in Memphis off turnovers. How do you count in the fact that the Grizzlies were 8 for 30 and your 2 best shooters from the wings just couldn't hit? I think Santi and Jalen Wells, the rookie, were a combined 0 for 11 from downtown, from 3-point range, and a lot of those were long rebounds, which turned into runouts for the Nets. So that really made it tough for the Grizzlies.
Well, Jalen Wells has been terrific, so I guess it's excusable when he has a bad game like that shooting, but he has been an added addition, especially when you throw in the fact that Kennard's been out and Dez has been out now for several games. So you got to give him an excuse, a pass on one game. But I think it's very impressive that they have guys like Jay Huff and with Scottie Pippen, of course, doing what he's doing. and Jalen Wells to step up for the guys that right now are not able to play. I think that says an awful lot about the front office, about Zach Kleiman and his folks out there who scoured the world basically to find these second-round picks, these two-way players, and have converted some of them. They've done a really, really good job to add to this roster. So you feel confident, no matter how deep you go on this roster, that the guy who's going to play is going to be able to come through for you.
Yeah, we'll talk about Jalen Wells in a second. Yeah, go ahead.
No. I was just going to say, when you're the Memphis Grizzlies, you always seem to be living in this moment when guys are out. Like, you're always making accommodations for when guys are out. And that's just part of it. Like, you look across the league and guys are dealing with injuries. And, just to piggyback on what you were saying, sort of an update, there could be some attrition coming the other way. Right. Luke Kennard could be back tonight. He was listed as questionable. That's an upgrade from where Luke has been. He's questionable for tonight's game against the Lakers. He's been dealing with a foot, mid-foot soreness issue. And, he's missed every game so far. So this could be his season debut. The list gets longer and longer, but I will give a couple updates on some other guys. Vince Williams Jr. is back into conditioning and scrimmaging. So it's just a matter of time now. He was a guy that was listed, as being out with that stress reaction. So he's on the court. He's practicing. He's getting 2-on-2, 3-on-3, and then that progresses to 4-on-4 and a scrimmage, and then he should be on the runway back.
The play groups are in there somewhere.
The play group, there you go.
You got to get that in.
Desmond Bane and Marcus Smart are week to week. I know you're going to.
I was going to ask you about that week to week. It's a little vague.
It is vague, and it's giving you room to sort of get your conditioning in and then see how you respond to it. Marcus is dealing with that ankle issue. I think that's a little bit more severe than the normal ankle issue. Desmond Bane is chomping at the bit to get back already. He's on the court doing some shooting. He's trying to just make sure that oblique doesn't become something worse from there. And then G.G. Jackson out of the walking boot.
Yes.
I know no one was happier to be out of a walking boot than G.G. Jackson because he put more miles on a walking boot than anyone I've ever seen.
He was running in that walking boot in some of the practices.
Dancing, doing all of those things in the walking boot. And so that's John Conchar is kind of a day-to-day guy. He's had a thigh issue, and I'm kind of impressed that I kept up with all of this.
Yeah,
and then
that's
last
top of
but
your
not
head.
least, Cam Spencer.
Right.
Cam Spencer, the rookie, second-round pick, is still slow healing ankle. But he's out of his walking boot as well, too. And I think he's going to try to start doing some initial, not ramping up yet because he's not ready to go up and down, but just flexibility and getting those exercises in, and we'll see where he is after that.
The good news is that Michael has a good memory. He remembered all 7 names. The bad news is that there's 7 names.
7 names
on the list. Yeah. And the thing about
Sorry about that. That took way too long.
No.
That's
what the fans want to know. They want to, hey, what are we dealing with? Who's healthy? Who can come back? Where are they going to be? That's what this show's all about. And when you look at it, I said before the beginning of the year that I was thinking somewhere around 500, looking at the history of this team under Taylor Jenkins, somewhere around 500 when you get into late November, early December is where the Grizzlies will be because that is historically what they have done. And with all the people out and with the pieces shuffling around, at least you have John Morant in the lineup, it looks like they'll be somewhere around that until the pieces start coming. And these pieces are coming back. It's not like last year where they were, he's gone for the year or gone for 25 games or something and missed 3 months. It's not week to week. It's month to month on that level. And but these guys are going to be coming back, and that's a good thing to look for if you're a Grizzlies fan, and also a good thing to look for, as you said earlier, about signing guys on a second round and finding the gems there. Vince Williams was a second-round pick. Jalen Wells, a second-round pick. He was the leading scorer among rookies in the league until Zach Edey had his big 25-point game against the Nets. And take a look at this graphic. Zach Edey and Jalen Wells, they are the NBA's top 2 rookies in total points. Now, who would have thought that? Maybe you thought Zach Edey would have had a chance, but Jalen Wells, who many thought might be in South Haven, how about that?
That's incredible. It's incredible. You're right. Edey, he's a first-round pick. You expected that to some degree. Jalen Wells, I'd almost bet, was not in the plans to play this early in the season, but he had to because of the lack of players, the injuries. He got his opportunity. I think he has seized the moment for the most part. It'll be interesting when everybody comes back and is healthy where he'll fall in the pecking order. But my gosh, to see those 2 guys contribute the way they're contributing in their first year in the NBA, that's impressive.
Yeah, I think they're averaging 20 and 10 together collectively as a duo. And, the great Michael Wallace, when you look at Zach Edey, oh my goodness, he misses one shot, 10 for 11 against the Nets. A lot of them were lobs, yes, but he did get his hook shot in there. But the thing is, he looks much quicker recognizing, okay, ball, goal, dunk. He's not just trying to go back and lay it in. Now, he knows NBA, you got to play big boy basketball now. If you get the ball down inside, you got to go attack the rack as he did on that play right there. Where it says, okay, big man, I see you, right?
Yeah, I mean, and these two guys, man, are just, they're unafraid. Like Zach Edey understands, look, I've had this kind of attention, this kind of double team. I've seen this when I was at Purdue. I know how to play basketball. It's just a matter of, can I fit into the pace? And are they going to prioritize me in this pace? Mm-hmm. We've seen them get prioritized against Brooklyn. Ja Morant was serving them right at the rim, and he made it easy for him to get those looks and go straight up. He had 7 dunks against the Nets, right?
Right?
And this is a beautiful pass right here, too, because he can pass out of the double team. That's not anything that he hasn't seen before. And Jalen Wells is all about making whatever play is necessary. Taylor Jenkins trusts him to put him on the most explosive offensive guy on the other end of the floor. So he's taking over defensively, but he's also not afraid to make big shots when they're wide open, and that's what's been a key for him.
And then one more thing on Edey. The play, Michael, in which he blocked the shot in Brooklyn, came back down the court, was the trailer, got the feed, I believe, from Santi, and knocked down the 3. That was impressive.
No, that was impressive.
That was Philly.
Yeah, everything that these guys. Yeah, it was Philly when he got.
Oh, that was impressive.
The 3, yes, because that was a rim run, and I remember that. But when you're playing with this guy right here, he's going to set you up and make it a room service layup. He's going to make it a room service meal when it comes to that. And I had a chance to catch up with both Zach Edey and Jalen Wells on the road this past few days ago, and they talked about their transition process into this starting lineup.
A lot better. We can just set the tone, like from the physicality standpoint. It just opens everything up for us.
How much more comfortable does it feel, over these last couple of games for you? After, obviously, the first couple of games, your role is going to be different from night to night. Your minutes are going to be different from night to night. But Taylor said he was going to be deliberate in trying to make sure you stay involved all throughout the game. How much better has it been the last couple?
Yeah, I'm just trying to take game by game, get better every game. That's kind of what I did in college. Like, nobody really knew me when I was a freshman, and then people knew me by the time I was a senior. So I was just trying to take it like that, game by game, and work up to it.
Yeah, I would be lying if I didn't think I would have had this opportunity this early. But I've said it before. I've always just been ready for that opportunity. I've been working as if I was going to be a starter the first game of the season. So, if the start of the fourth game of the season, I'm definitely ready.
I got to tell you, Jalen Wells looks like he's 14 years old. He just does. But you know what? I've been really impressed with him. Even in missing the shots that he missed on those threes, he still had good presence of mind to be able to put the ball on the floor and get to the rack and use that old slow kind of 1-2 step Euro and get the ball in the bucket. And he's a lot stronger than he looks. So I think the Grizzlies definitely hit a home run with him. And Zach Edey, 25 points. Was it 4 blocks? 5 blocks?
4 blocks.
And 10 rebounds?
12 rebounds.
12 rebounds.
Yeah, 25, 12, 4 blocks on 90% shooting.
Yes.
Right, 90% shooting.
Wow.
The first rookie to do that since Akeem Olajuwon did it in 1984.
That's not bad company.
The first NBA rookie to go 25 plus, 12 plus, and 4 plus blocks with 90% shooting.
And he does it in his 8th game?
8th game.
In his 8th game. And the thing about it is, what really makes you take a look at is the fact that, when he first started out there, he looked a little low, kind of automatonish, a little slow. Mm-hmm. Now, as the games go on, he's starting to pick up the speed of the games, much different in college. And he's playing against guys that, rip your throat out for the ball now because it's their livelihood. Not that it's not their livelihood in college now, but, you know what I mean. These guys are getting paid big bucks to go out there and get the job done. And he's getting quicker at recognizing, okay, if Ja's got the ball and he's coming to keep your eyes up because it could be coming. You did that one time on your talking about that guy's in there. Ja did a left-handed, like he was going to do the floater, and it was an oop to Zach, and he flushed it home. He's looking for the ball in those situations.
You have to have your head on a swivel, especially when you're playing with a guy like Ja Morant. But that was a great question Michael asked because we've already seen this progress from game 1 to just game 8. And that progress will continue in increments as the season goes along. And then about Wells, you were making a great point about Wells. he's not afraid.
No.
He's not afraid of the moment. He's
No.
not afraid to take the shot. If he misses the shot, Michael, he's not afraid to take it the next time down.
No, great point. I mean, and that's the thing. It takes something. But see, he's a mature guy too.
Yes.
He's been in different environments. He started off at Division I and kind of worked his way up to Washington State. He knew he was a guy that when he didn't get drafted in the first round, I remember being in New York in Brooklyn for the draft, and he didn't go that first day. He had his entire family in New York. The next day they got up, went to the Seaport District where the second round was going. He brought his same family over there, and he was one of the few players that were sitting in a much smaller space to celebrate getting drafted in the second round. His attitude and demeanor didn't change, man, and that says a lot about the kind of person that Jalen Wells is. Now, having said that, to go back to Zach Edey for a second, these tests, he's getting better with each game.
Yeah.
But this is going to be a potentially big test that he's facing tonight because if Anthony Davis does play, and Anthony Davis is listed as questionable right now, I believe with an ankle issue, he played through Monday's game in Detroit, finished that game, but he's the leading scorer in the NBA right now. So as we take a look at what's next up for the Grizzlies, you're talking about a Lakers team that could be, one of these teams that are looking like they want, on good nights, they look like they're a potential NBA Finals team.
That's the way that the Lakers have gone here lately. They're remember last year they won the play-in tournament. They're 1-3 on their 5-game road trip that ends tonight here in the Bluff City. But Anthony Davis had 32.6 points per game, also a lot of rebounds and a few. He's putting up MVP numbers right now early in the season. The question is, will he be healthy enough to play the season? Will he be healthy enough to play tonight? I don't think, is he a game time decision? I think that's what the deal is. Questionable. And the Lakers have won 9 of the past 14 regular season games against the Grizzlies. The Grizzlies had turned that around at one point back in the grit grind era, but now the Lakers with LeBron just don't want to lose games. But we're looking at some of the highlights from last year's game here in Memphis back when Desmond was still healthy. But Jaren really had a good game there working in the paint. He struggled this past game against Brooklyn. He got the shots that he'd been hitting. They just weren't falling for him. But if you get Triple J playing the way he can, and you get, of course, Ja's job, BC has come back. Now he looks like he's rounding back into the form, got the BC bounce working again. It's one thing that the Grizzlies will be healthy, and they'll have, BC will be able to go out and play on that wing against some of those guys that the Lakers really have torched Memphis in the last few games that they've matched up against. Of course, Gigi Jackson, we know he's out of the boot now. It'd be nice to see him make moves like that against the Lakers. Hopefully he'll be back and ready to play him the next time that Memphis sees LA. But the Grizzlies have played well. That game went down to the wire, even with the Grizzlies playing with a lot of guys that, aren't the household names in Memphis. Jake LaRavia, for one, had a really good game. So we'll see what happens tonight, but the Lakers say, I heard the interview, they were interviewing someone else about Anthony Davis in the locker room after the game they lost to Detroit. Do you think AD is going to play? And you could hear AD in the distance say, AD's going to play.
Did he say that?
Yes, he did.
It's always obviously a big attraction when LA comes to town. I want to know if there's a fountain of youth out in Los Angeles because the way Davis has played the last 2 years and has actually been on the court most of the time, and then, of course, LeBron, who's a freak of nature, so maybe that's where the fountain of youth is. I don't know. They're 1-3 on the road trip, so they have not played well on the road. If they don't have AD, they're in trouble with the combination of Edey sides with Jaren Jackson Jr. I certainly like the Grizzlies' chances either way, but I don't know. It's a long season, and you would think, Michael, that AD's not 100%. Yeah, give him a game rest. I salute him if he's actually going to play.
Well, when you go back, just a couple weeks ago, LeBron James intimated that I want to play all 82.
Yeah, he did say that.
In his age 40 season, he said, I want to go all 82. Now, I believe it when I see it. I think he probably deserves to take a night or two off. But that's the mindset that these Lakers are having. And you got to credit both LeBron and Anthony Davis for setting the leadership example, but also for their ability to embrace, a new coach in J.J. Redick and allowing him to implement the way he wants to play. J.J. Redick is making it clear that I want this team to run through Anthony Davis. LeBron is going to control all the puppet strings, but Anthony Davis is going to be the finisher on this team. And when you have that kind of confidence from your coaching staff, and AD's, he's approaching 30, if not a little bit past 30. he knows he could still be a dominant guy in this league playing this way for a long time.
Yeah, he could be for a long time. It's, you look at it and it's like he's approaching 30, whatever his age is.
Seems like he's 35.
Yeah,
by the way.
to me, because he's had so many injuries. He's got a lot of wear and tear on those knees, especially. And it's tough as a big man when they start, and foot problems when they start to go. That's a really tough sign. But they are trying to set an example. They had a 3-0 start, I believe. Then they're 1-3 on this road trip, and hopefully that their woes against on the road will keep woeing them down. Woe is me when they come here to Memphis tonight. The Faker fans will be there, but we don't care because this is Grizzlies territory right here in the Grindhouse. When we come back on our next segment here on GrizzBeat, we're going to give you some NBA updates from around the league. Plus, we're going to give you another look at what Ja did in Brooklyn. Got a 2-for-1 from Demetrius Jamel Morant. You'll see it after the break.
Let's face it. There's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
At Southland Casino Hotel, it's time to work hard, play hard with our $500,000 giveaway. Earn entries October through November 9th and take home free play and amazing prizes on select Saturdays, including a big rig. Stay connected on social media for weekly drawing clues. Join us November 9th for the grand finale drawing where you could drive off in a four-wheeler, side-by-side, or big rig. Work hard and play harder at Southland Casino Hotel. Must be 21 plus. Play responsibly. For help quitting, call 800-522-4700.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing compares to catching your Grizzlies IRL. And that all starts with buying tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Ticketmaster gets you to the game so you can catch every highlight. Put that jersey collection to use for the next game and get Grizzlies tickets at Ticketmaster. Whether they're here at FedEx Forum or on the road, Ticketmaster's got your back when it comes to scoring tickets. And there's no better brag than saying you saw it live.
We have not talked to you since we got the big fella that's going to go next to you.
What has impressed you about him, though? Just being on the same court with him, because you've watched him a lot in college. You got to see him. We got to see him very, very little in summer league.
Very quick twitch, like decision making. Yeah. No real fear of anything. Like very vocal, able to game. But I mean, like, dude won Player of the Year twice. Like
I know.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Attention, small business owners, tip off the holiday shopping season. Holiday, yeah, they're here. See, by featuring your passion, works, and wares on Small Business Saturday at Grizz Shop Local. That's November 30th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. right downtown here at FedEx Forum. Get your products in the hands of Memphians and apply to become a vendor at grizzlies.com/shop-local. That's by Friday, November 8th.
Welcome back into GrizzBeat, and this is one of our favorite times of the show. All of the segments are our favorite times of the show, but we get to talk NBA headlines, and there is no greater gift, speaking of Jarvis's last read there's no greater gift in the NBA right now than the gift of Ja Morant highlights, and the NBA showed us that the highlight of Ja Morant going reverse 360 generated 161 million views in the first 24 hours. After that game, this is a guy that did it not once, but twice. Just a phenomenal athlete. And, he's this highlight right here, guys, generated comments from across sports. Like guys in the NFL, in the NBA, across multiple sports talked about the athleticism, the beauty, the torque, everything that Ja Morant puts into these moves. And like I said, I was on the broadcast when he did it.
Oh, my goodness.
And my jaw dropped. And you're supposed to talk on the broadcast.
Yeah.
I was speechless. Thankfully, Eric Hasseltine isn't speechless and rarely is speechless, so he carried us through a tremendous highlight like that, guys. But when you see Ja Morant, Jarvis, and he's able to do something like that, and you talked about it too, Greg. Who was it that made the comment?
Devontae Adams called him the best professional athlete in the world today. That takes in a lot of athletes. The best athlete in the world
today. Yeah.
What I do know is He is must-watch television.
Yes,
every time he steps onto the court. You don't want to take your eyes away because you may miss something. I also believe he has an ability to hover. When he goes up and a defender goes up with him, the defender starts to come down, and he's either elevating higher
or just
hovers.
He's
for
hovering
some
there for the
he
guy.
He may
to
have
down
a hoverboard under those jaws that he wears because something's up with that. It's too freaky to see what he does.
Oh yeah. Can we put that highlight up again? I want to talk a little bit about that. If we can roll that again. The first one, you pretty much on the top of your screen there, you saw that coming. Okay, you're on one side, I'll just do a 360 and finish with the left hand. Hey, great. The bottom one, he goes up like he's going to plant the ball with his right hand. A jackhammer, pulls it down, then that's the hover part right there, where he just goes, all right, excuse me, I'm going around you now. Look, doesn't even get close to him and turns around and still has the presence of mind to get it in off the glass. You saw that not once, but twice in Brooklyn. Brooklyn fans, you are some lucky people that have seen a play like that because, I mean, that rarely happens once, let alone twice.
Our jaws are still dropping, and we watched it 1,000 times. We've seen this clip 1,000 times.
How many times? How many million people?
161 million views in the first 24 hours. And that's
almost half the population of the United States.
Viral. That's viral right there.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Ja has always been, since he's been in the league, he's been one of the most popular social media highlight players that we've ever seen. And again, when you talk about the most athletic professional athlete on the planet right now, that's high praise, man. And Ja, every single game is doing something like that. We remember the lob from sitting down at the free throw line up to Sonny Aldama. We remember diving on the floor for the loose ball and triggering a 3-on-1 fast break. He's always doing something special like that night in and night out. And he's a treat to watch, man. That's why, again, you got to get down here to 191 Beale Street to catch these guys when you can. TV does it justice, but when you see it live and in person, it takes it to another level.
You feel the crowd with it because that anticipation.
You're part of the experience, right?
Yes, of what you're going to see. There's nothing like being here when you see that. One more thing about John Morant. He's not a selfish dude. He had 25 points, almost had a triple-double in the Brooklyn game. He only had 18, I think, in the Philadelphia game, but the stat sheet is filled with everything else he did because everybody was cooking. Everybody eats when John Morant's on the court.
4 guys in double-doubles. 4 guys delivered double-doubles that night in Philadelphia, to your point, Jarvis. But again, like you said, get down here in any kind of way you can to make sure you see John Morant. Speaking of getting there any way you can, the Detroit Pistons took the subway on Sunday to their game against the aforementioned Nets because it was the New York City Marathon put the traffic at a standstill around Brooklyn. So these guys hopped on the subway, took the train down to the Brooklyn Arena and then played their game that night. They got a win over the Brooklyn Nets that night and then went on and went back home and also beat the Los Angeles Lakers. So we got sort of a round robin going on right here between the Pistons, the Lakers, the Nets, and the Grizzlies. But one of these things, man, when you have to do that, it puts your whole team and your whole security team, you're kind of nervous. I know those security guys were nervous. But if you're in that situation, man, are you worried about safety or are you just thinking it's a cool experience if you're an NBA player?
Well, first of all, let me give a shout out to my daughter-in-law who ran in the New York City
Dory,
Marathon.
Yes,
I didn't know that.
So she's
Dory.
running as the Pistons are on the subway.
Your son Greg's wife, Greg Jr.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I think it has to
a
be
cancer
Michael.
survivor also.
She is.
Just a tremendous person and athlete.
The experience of having to do that. I mean, look, these guys are young at heart. They're human beings. Sure, you get bussed around from here to there, and they're used to first class. But this is it's got to be neat for them. We're going to jump on the subway. How about the people that were on those subway cars that saw guys from 6'2", 6'3", all the way up to 7'2", walking in, wondering, who are these guys? And for those who know sports, probably quickly picked up, it has to be basketball players.
Yeah, that's something to take the subway to a game. But, you got to do it. You got to get there whatever way you're going to get there. I wonder what it was when they told them, hey, look, guys, we can't take our, charter bus down to the arena because, the New York City, the marathon's going on. We got to take the subway. And they're saying, what? Because like you say, they're used to, when we go with the Tigers, we see the Grizzlies playing out there, man. And you stay in 5-star hotels when you're an NBA athlete because you should. Because that's, this is the big leagues. You all your transportation, food, everything catered. Now you got to do what the people do. And so it's good to see that sometimes.
But as Michael brought up, it's also security. Because I don't believe they're allowed, even when the visiting team is here staying at the Westin, they can't walk over, right? Don't they have to take a bus?
They do. Some of them still walk over.
Do they?
And security isn't all. Security won't tell them no, but they will frown upon it and still walk with them just across the street. Now, I will tell you this. I'm glad you brought that up because years ago when I was back in Miami and covering the Miami Heat for ESPN, if you're in Charlotte, Charlotte's arena is maybe 3 blocks away from where the teams usually stay at their Four Seasons or Ritz or whatever it is. And LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Chris, but this star-studded Miami Heat team, the Heatles, chose to walk from shoot-around back to the hotel during the lunch hour, like downtown
people
Charlotte.
are out,
So people are out. It was a nice spring day
Right.
or something like that. And so I followed them. Like I'm walking behind them as a member of the media just to capture the scene. Cars were screeching to a halt when they realized, like you drive by and you're like, there's no way that's LeBron James. That's LeBron James.
That's LeBron
And then dudes are jumping
James.
out of cars in the middle of the street. Like you're seeing, and then LeBron and Dwayne are just sitting there laughing, man, because they know that they're causing this scene.
They're eating that up.
Security was flanked on both sides, and it was like, it was like a president or a head of state, or Michael Jackson or somebody like that. And you see all the
just
security
about
around
is.
them. So,
I
yeah.
mean, and
it's pretty funny.
I remember when the Grizz were playing the Spurs and all those different playoff runs early, and the Westin had just opened, and a lot of the Spurs players, they just walk up. They weren't even taking the elevator. They walk, from the court all the way up that long step up to the plaza level and walk out and just walk across the street.
Yeah.
And they, some of them would go to lunch right over there to eat lunch and, and everything. And, the fans are going, hey, look, but people here in Memphis basically don't bother you that much. They recognize talent and they see and they wave, but there's not a lot of people fawning all over people. And I think that's one reason why the people on the Grizzlies like playing here, because they know that, hey, look, this is my guy. Hey, and they're not all fawning all over and stopping them from doing what they want to do.
Yeah, I would imagine that the players don't want to be cooped up in their hotel room. It's a little different for LeBron James, maybe for some guys that are rookies, and maybe the fans don't know those players. But you want to get out, you want to stretch your legs, you want to go get something to eat. You just don't want to be sitting there in your room the entire. I can only imagine, but
no, that's true. They do want to get out. Guys do want to get out.
They want to see the city wherever
just
it
in
is.
Philly. Like in Philly, I went to go. I went to have brunch with a friend of mine in Philly, and then I'm walking back to the hotel, and Desmond Bain's just walking up the street.
There you go.
You know what I mean? And he was like, "Hey, where'd you eat? Because I'm hungry." And I recommended a spot for him. But yeah, these guys are human beings too.
Hey,
They understand. They understand. They understand. The magnitude that comes with being smart about their surroundings, because you don't want to put yourself in a bad situation.
Right.
And there's a lot of security and a lot of investment to keep these guys protected.
So, real quick question. Like you say, you walk by Dez, and he's like, I want to eat. Where'd you go? When the guys are on the road, they have a catered meal for sure right before the game, right? But do they want like lunch or breakfast? Are they like free to go wherever they want to go, and they're responsible for their own meal?
No, they can. Yeah, I mean, like it's the meals are for the most part catered. There's a room in every hotel where there's a team meal room and all of those kind of things. So when NBA teams come to play on the road, right? They basically take over a lot of the areas in the hotel. So there's a meal room, there's 2 or 3 massage rooms, there's a coaching meeting room and all of these different kind of rooms. And then just the luggage that goes with a team. You guys see this all the time with the Tigers. Right. When you guys check into a hotel, the equipment that has to travel with a team like that requires its own floor, basically, of rooms. So yeah, but players are free to go and be themselves too.
Do they get per diem? How does that work?
I can't give all of that away, man.
I'm just wondering, man, because I know they get the big paycheck.
We'll talk about that all.
I mean, because if they want to go
Jarvis wants to be an NBA player.
If they want to go get a Philly cheesesteak, do they take it out of their own pocket, or
depending on who you are, man? You know how many people will be willing to say, "Hey, let me pick up this Philly cheesesteak for you."
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's they make sure that they're fed well enough where if you don't want to, you don't have to put your hand in your pocket and spend on anything.
I got you.
But some guys want to go and have different experiences and different stuff. So
they might have a favorite spot. They got a favorite spot.
They got favorite spots all across the city, man. And Philly's one of those places where a lot of people, because of the sights and the sounds and the dynamic of the city, people love to get out and do. But speaking of Philly, also in Philly, our next story, Joel Embiid was hit with a 3-game suspension by the NBA, and Joe Dumars, who's one of the executives that hands out league suspensions, basically, talked about how Joel Embiid was the subject of an unflattering column that was written by the Philadelphia Inquirer's lead columnist But you can never put yourself in a situation where you get physical or approach someone and an altercation ensues in the locker room. So when you talk about 3 games for Joel Embiid for his suspension, which really kicks in once he gets healthy. So 3 games he's suspended once he's eligible to play. Is that fair? Is that foul? Is that too many? Is that not enough? Were they too soft on him? Great.
I think it's appropriate. 3 games. They had to do something because you cannot put your hands on a fan, on a media member. You can't put your hands on anybody. So he went too far. Now, you could have your own opinion on whether or not that article was in poor taste or whatever. But the bottom line is you can't have that type of reaction whether you're upset or not. I think 3 games is fine. I think 3 games is okay.
I look at it, and it's like the article mentioned something about Embiid's brother and his son.
Yes.
And Joel took umbrage to that. He didn't like it.
Right.
And I don't know if there had been any kind of bad blood between Embiid and the reporter in the past, but it seems to me this has been something that's been kind of brewing between those two, because you don't just like one article and just like go pop off on a guy, because it's the local guy. You know the guy. The local Philadelphia Inquirer's, paper of record in Philadelphia, one of the best newspapers that's still around in the country. And so, 3 games, you don't put your hands on somebody, but I can understand. I'll put it this way. What was the comic that said, I don't think he should have done it, but I understand. You know what I mean?
No, I know who you're talking about.
You know what I mean?
Well,
I think that was Chris Rock that said that.
It was Chris Rock. He took a shot at Embiid for not being out on the court, using family members to do so, to emphasize his point. Probably wrong to do, probably in poor taste. But again, you can't put your hands on anybody. And that costs, he's a rich guy, but that's 3 games with the salary he has. That's a lot of money.
It is. And,
that's Philly cheesesteak money now.
That's a lot of cheesesteaks.
Yeah. 3 games. Come on.
Just for a little perspective and context, man, I mean, that was also a game, again, the Grizzlies were in town for. That was the Grizzlies game against the 76ers.
Right.
And Embiid didn't play. And, Keith Pompey, who also works for the Philadelphia Inquirer, as the beat writer, I'm walking out of the arena after we, locker room closes for the Grizzlies. It's post game. We're walking back towards the bus, and Keith is like, Mike, man, some S just popped off in the locker room. And so he's sitting there on his phone and he's tweeting. He was like, man, let me send this. He sends the tweet that goes viral that says, Joel Embiid just assaulted someone in the locker room. And he explained to me what happened, and I was like, oh my God. So I immediately turn around. I go back to the Grizzlies locker room. And we talk about it in there, right? So everybody's like still in there and wondering like, wow, did he land? Did he get the punch off?
Yeah, at first it came out that it was a punch, but then it was kind of like
it was a shove and a reach over and a shove. I will say this, because I haven't been a professional athlete getting pissed off about what somebody wrote about me, but I have been a columnist that has written some things that some athletes didn't like or coaches didn't like. And I remember getting called. I've been confronted before. I've never been physically attacked. But the thing about it is that you have to show up and if you're going to write something, be responsible for it.
Right.
What this man wrote was a poor taste, because all he did was basically say, Joel Embiid talks about legacy and wanting to play the right way and wanting to represent the city and wanting to represent the lives and the legacies of his late brother and his young son. And you don't do that by not showing up for games.
Exactly.
You don't do that by doing this, and that. The column could have been written without even putting that first part in there. He could have just said, Joel Embiid is all about legacy. Well, your legacy also means showing up.
Right.
He didn't have to put his brother who died during Joel Embiid's rookie year or his son, who's an infant, not an infant, but just a young guy. So I get Joel Embiid being upset. 2 days before that game, or the day before that game, he had the quote, and he said, I've done too effing much for this city to be called out like this. So he's been under fire for about a couple of weeks since he hasn't played yet. So that's kind of the groundswell that led to this column, that led to Joel Embiid being sensitive.
Well, I will say this. I'm from Atlantic City, New Jersey, 60 miles from Philadelphia, and I would bet most of those fans believe you haven't done enough to help out this city and do things, because that's what they expect. They expect championships. If you don't bring championships, you didn't do your job. But that's a whole other story.
Well, I mean, the way things are now, with Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, and everything else. Everybody's an expert, and everybody thinks win, now, and it's what have you done for me lately? I don't care if you scored 1,000 points.
Instant gratification.
It's instant gratification, and if you didn't just do it in the last game, how come you're not out there doing it again? And that puts so much pressure on someone to say, athletes sometimes they live in a bubble because they have to. They can't read, what people are writing. They can't. They say that, oh, you don't read it. I don't read it. Well, somebody usually tells them what somebody else said. Oh, yeah, they said that, and you got that going on in your head. So that's why I say, I don't think he should have done it. Well, but I understand.
You've been a high-level college athlete, Jarvis, and
I don't know about high level.
I'm
played
just saying.
with some high-level
Division I, yeah.
Yeah.
So you've been written about, right?
Yeah,
You've been, and sometimes that's a sensitive space, though, because you put your heart and your soul in people don't know how much. Just take for instance, and I know we're going long here, but that's fine. We'll adjust.
No, it's a good topic.
But G.G. Jackson is a guy that's had to be in a walking boot for the last 2 months, right?
Right.
Every single day he's doing something conditioning-wise to get himself right, to go through all it impacts his conditioning schedule. And rehab impacts his entire day. And then for some idiot on Twitter or social media to put out something, and this wasn't an idiot on social media. This was the equivalent of the lead columnist for the city's biggest paper.
Yeah, this was Jeff
is a
Calkins
visible
saying
person doing that. I can understand there being some tension. I can understand even guys having to be separated in a situation like that. But if you're Joel Embiid, you have to be held to a little bit higher of a standard. I think, to circle this back real quick, I think the 3-game suspension was too light.
Too light, okay.
Too light. In light of, and I'm not gonna, it's easy to kind of compare it. Ja got 25 games for something he just posted on social media. Joel Embiid swung or reached across and tried to inflict harm on a dude.
This was first offense, right?
In front of in a professional setting with your brand and the media and security and everybody else around. How is that even possible to happen, right? So, to wrap the story up, and I do want to get you guys' thoughts on this too. To wrap this up, Joel Embiid reached out and apologized to the columnists.
Okay.
The Philadelphia 76ers issued a letter of apology as well to the columnists. And I don't even know if he deserved that, honestly. I don't think he deserved it because he knew what he wrote. But having said that, that's where that story ends.
I appreciate your opinion.
Yeah.
Because I think so highly of you. I'm fine with 3, but I understand where Michael's coming from. I believe first offense. I don't think it's the second offense. As far as the journalists are concerned, a lot of them trying to get a rise out of something. Well, they always say families are off limits.
Yep.
Do not even
Families
bring that
and money.
in.
Families and contracts.
So and contracts.
Yep.
So the journalists really, in my opinion, overstepped the boundaries.
We had something similar to that happen here in Memphis. I mentioned
right,
Jeff Calkins
you're going to bring up
Jason Williams.
Absolutely.
And Jeff wrote something in his column. Jeff's not here to defend himself. I'm just going to tell you just what happened. It was late in the season. He wrote something in the column that was not favorable. If he says he's going to play, and if you like to play so much, the losses should hurt. And he said, well, no, I'd still go home and play with my kids and be with my family. And Jeff wrote a column about that, and Jason Williams didn't like it and took Jeff's pen.
I was in the locker room when that happened.
Yeah, and so you saw it, and we were there too, and everybody's going, oh my goodness, what's going on here?
He said, what did he say? You're not writing nothing. You're not writing nothing, homeboy.
You're not writing nothing, homeboy.
And he grabbed the pen from him.
Yeah.
He didn't hit him. He didn't push him. He grabbed the pen from him.
He said, I'm good.
But going back to what Michael said a while ago, they are human beings.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
some more sensitive than others. So there's going to be reaction naturally as human beings. But you as a professional athlete, entertainer, people in the limelight, you got to be careful. You can't overstep your boundaries. Fans, unfortunately, they're unlimited. They'll say the dumbest things. They'll provoke, but you got to have restraint.
And I'll say this to end that. Jeff and Jason Williams did bury the hatchet. Everything was fine.
Right.
That was just one of those heat of the moment kind of thing.
And it happens. It happens, man. I have another story, but I'm going to go ahead and wait on this one. We got one more thing to get to. I want to get to our Grind City Media Grizz Week GrizzBeat Power Poll. Yes, it's me ranking them, right? So I'm not going to ask these guys to defend the rankings. I do want their comments on what they see from that standpoint. I got the Thunder and the Cavaliers 1-2 right there, the only remaining unbeaten teams in the NBA right now. Boston took a loss last week, but they're still right there holding strong. The Suns are the surprise to me to still be as consistent as they are with Kevin Durant playing the way he is. Warriors are another shock in terms of being this good without Steph Curry. Now he is back. The Rockets, man, are just tough. They're hanging in there. The Mavericks, Lakers, Nuggets, and Timberwolves. That's my top 10 for the GrizzBeat NBA Power Rankings. Let's leave that up there right quick, and I want to get you guys' comments real quick. You guys each got 30 seconds before we go to break.
It's scary that there's 8 teams from the West in the top 10, if I have that right. I am a little surprised about the Suns. I'm really surprised about the Warriors. They're playing out of their minds right now. Nuggets, people think they've lost a little bit. Still up there on your list. I have no arguments, but it just shows you the East. I think they have 2 teams that have 500 or better records, and that's the Cavaliers and the Celtics. So that's the scary part, Michael. 8 of the 10 are from the West.
I agree totally with my partner, Greg Gaston. The Warriors, it's just incredible to me that they are 6-1. The thing that really jumps out to me with all those teams up there from the West are all 4-3. There's no separation.
Right.
The West will cannibalize itself as the season goes along, so I'm not that worried about what the Grizzlies' record is right now. The Thunder and the Cavs at 7-0 and 8-0 respectively. The Cavaliers, I didn't expect them to be this good. I expected the Celtics to be back there, and the Thunder, everybody likes the Thunder. I don't like the Thunder, but everybody likes the Thunder. So, okay, you can be up there for right now. We'll see where they are at the end.
Cleveland has tied their best start in franchise history. One more win. If they get to 9-0, it'll be the best start in franchise history. So they're doing a phenomenal job up there with that team. And that's a team that got knocked out a little bit earlier than they expected to in the playoffs. But when we get back, we have a special mic'd up episode of Beyond Grit. I'm looking forward to hearing it and seeing it. It's Ja Morant from the opening night victory over the Orlando Magic. He's going to take you through what that moment was like when we get back on GrizzBeat.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Dinosaur draft.
Give me Littlefoot.
Littlefoot's a great pick
It
in your
is
alternate reality.
right.
in your fake dinosaur draft because
I'm
you don't
sorry.
believe in real
I'm sorry.
dinosaurs. Give me a velociraptor. It's so cute and so scary.
That's
I'm
not
sorry.
a real velociraptor.
That's not a chicken.
Tune in to the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt live every weekday at 8 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
One of the things I really do like about the history of the Memphis Grizzlies is that we have people who have moved here and stayed here. I like how much some of those guys have not only made millions here and won games here, but spent real time here and raised children here.
Yes.
And become a real part of the community.
The Gary Parrish Show, live on weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Hey, Grizz fans, get $5 tickets. Yep, that's right. Just $5 to the Grizzlies game on Friday, November 8th by signing up for Buzzer Beaters, presented by Kroger. Buzzer Beaters are texts sent out on select Grizzlies game days, unlocking last-minute access to exclusive ticket offers. To get this $5 ticket offer and more special offers all season, just sign up for Buzzer Beaters. You can do that at grizzlies.com/buzzer-beater. You want to do that and do that today. Of course, we're about to hit the buzzer beater right now as we get toward the end of the program here on GrizzBeat. Telling you what's coming up. with the Grizzlies as we preview the week ahead. Coming up tonight, we have the Los Angeles Lakers and LeBron James in town tonight. 7 o'clock tip-off at FedEx Forum. Will Anthony Davis play? He is questionable for tonight. He is putting up some MVP numbers this season. Look to see what he does against Zach Edey and the boys in blue. And also, coming up on a Friday night, we've got the Washington Wizards in town. And then it's on the road to the Portland Trail Blazers. That's a Sunday night, 8 o'clock game for the Memphis Grizzlies. Got a good game, good slate of games here for the week ahead, and chance for a couple of victories out of that, you think?
I don't think there's any question. Again, if AD doesn't go, I really like the Grizzlies' chances. I still think they can win even with AD. Friday against the Wizards, you need to win that game at home. Then they start that trip, and you'll be heading out west. Portland is gettable, no question about that. So there's 3 right in a row that they can win.
Yeah, that's 3 right in a row that they can win, and I would love to see them take that winning streak to 3 games. And they need that kind of thing right now. And then you get to next week, and maybe some other guys, some reinforcements start to come in.
Yeah, and there's a chance, as you said, Luke Kennard, the foot sprain, it looks like he may have a chance. We might see him on the court tonight. That'll be a great thing tonight here at FedEx Forum. But you guys, looking back to the opening night of FedEx Forum, the opening night of the season, the home opener for the Memphis Grizzlies, big win against the Orlando Magic. Beyond Grit has this look at what Ja Morant said during the game. During the game. He was mic'd up. Take a listen.
Memphis, Tennessee, yeah!
It is the Grizzlies 2024-2025 home opener here in Memphis tonight. So good to see all the fans out here at FedEx Forum.
It's the 24th home opener in the Memphis Grizzlies era. It's the 30th overall season, and the Grizzlies are celebrating that, paying tribute to the days in Vancouver where the Grizzlies spent 6 seasons before moving to the Bluff City in 2001.
Let's go!
Yes, sir, Pete. All the way.
Bain downhill, great drop off to Edey for the dunk. Oh, Jay Huff!
You got a Huff stuff.
A Huff stuff. Morant down the lane, shoots it up, in and draws the foul. Jaren got Batase in the air, leaves it for Huff. Oh, reverse dunks!
Put it down, Huff! Put it down!
They in bonus and we in bonus. Both teams bonus. We coming. Okay. We coming. That was pistol away. I seen it on film. Pistol away. Go, Jay. Go, Jay. Go, Jay.
A look ahead to Morant for the reverse.
How you want to do, Zach? You want to get him one? Yeah. Shoot the 3.
All right, here we go. We're ready.
Yes, Edey!
Edey for 3. He hits! Up ahead, Morant, what a catch! Over Suggs, double punches, lob to Obama!
Morant around a screen, bumped by Wagner. No look to Smart, lays it up on the window and in. What a fitting way to end the first half with a second to go, and it is all Grizz.
Good to see you back, man. 290 days. Damn. Since I played outside of preseason, that one preseason game. It's a blessing for sure. Screen! Get going. Here, shift here. Hand up. Yeah, Scotty! We good. Box that, Dan.
Suggs will attack to the basket. Blocked from behind by Morant.
Hey!
Morant elevates, yes.
Hey, be active. Anything go to the rim, go get it.
A lob drop! Another reverse dunk!
Jay Huff loves the reverse stats. Look.
Takes him inside, nowhere to go. Huff, corner 3. Good! Jay Huff! 17 for Jay Huff!
Zeros on the clock. Streamers flow from the rafters. The Grizzlies get the win inside FedEx Forum.
Thank you, bro. Yes, sir. What up, girl? What up, girl? What up, girl?
You are sweaty.
I am sweaty. You want my towel? Is that me? Bye-bye. See you later, okay? Okay? Yeah. You keep it, okay? Don't give it away. Appreciate y'all.
And that's John Morant, man of the people right there, kicking off of the great opening night win for the Grizzlies over the Orlando Magic. A lot of talking you got to do, and we did a lot of talking today with Greg Gaston from Sports 56. Once again, you're on from
7 to 10 a.m. Monday through Friday.
You can check him out on AM 56 for Sports 56. Greg Gaston, as always, the great Michael Rollis, the guru of Grind City Media. You're not on the call tonight, Michael?
No, I'm not on the call tonight. It'll be Elliot Perry on the call tonight, Eric Hasseltine on that one, and then on FanDuel Sports Network, you got obviously the guys Pete, Fish, and Brevin. Check all of that out with Chris Vernon on the pregame show. Looking forward to another spectacular night right here at the Forum.
Of course, my wife and I will be in our regular seats, and we'll be cheering on, looking for streamers to fall from the heavens. We want to see you in the place tonight. Grizzlies and Lakers tonight, 7 o'clock, FedEx Forum. You be there, and we'll be right back here next Wednesday, 2 p.m. for more GrizzBeat. See you then.
That's game. Thanks for running with us for another episode of GrizzBeat. Join us each Wednesday at Grind City Media for all the latest insight and analysis on the Grizzlies.